Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Sparring Partners Podcast. This is episode 24, I believe. If it's not, we're going to look like big freaking idiots. But people who have either big idiots who have done 23 episodes of a show or 25 episodes of a show. My name's Coby McKinley. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Brad Jones.
Yo, what up, everybody?
Yeah, we missed a week, but in that week we rejuvenated, we improved, and we leveled up. It's the quiet before the storm, wouldn't you say, Fred?
Yep. Once again, we experienced some brief technical difficulties, and that's resulted in some unexpected and unplanned upgrades to the setup. So now we're stepping it up one more step at a time, and we're back. We've got 2 weeks worth of content now. It's gonna be a loaded show, lots to talk about. We finna get after it.
Yeah, and before we get after it, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe and just get those numbers up. Everywhere you see a number, we need that to be higher. So do that if you feel so inclined. As always, we're in collaboration with fightfreaks.co. There you can find my previews for Bellator. Evan does previews for ONE FC and UFC. And then PFL soon to come. So it's gonna be quite a lot of content. It's getting updated all the time. It's updated way more than just my once a week postings. So I guess twice if you count the podcast. So yeah, with all of that out of the way, let's get started with the show. Yeah, we've had a little bit of time off. So let's going back a little bit. We are going back to UFC on. Actually, let's go in. Actually, this would be the same order. So actually, we are still going in order. UFC on ABC 2, Vettori versus Holland. Also on the card, we had Arnold Allen, Sadiq Youssef, Julian Marquez taking on Smiling Sam Alvey, Mackenzie Dern, and Nina Nunez, and Daniel Rodriguez taking on Mike Perry. That was the main card. Brad, overall, what is your grade for UFC on ABC Dose?
Honestly, it was a pretty solid for an overall experience. I'd probably give it like a B- for a total card because just off of that main card, as you ran down of those like 5 fights, pretty much you got something. They're all different, but you got something of a storyline coming out of each one of them. So as we'll run down from top to bottom, there's basically a takeaway from every single one of those fights on the main card.
Yeah, I would agree. And overall, I would agree. B range. The main event, I think, was sunk the grade a little bit because heading into the main event, I was riding a high from Arnold Allen and Sadiq Youssef, Julian Marquez getting his big stoppage of Sam Alvey. No hooks at all, just squoze as hard as he could.
That was one of the more brutal finishes I've seen in quite a while. I mean, he like beat Sam Alvey till he was basically unconscious on the feet, and then just like brutally ragdolled, grabbed his throat, and just choked him like a dog until he was unconscious.
It really was. It honestly, the way he finished Sam Alvey is like a testament to how tough the man is. Because like he was just like, all right, Sam Alvey just won't go away, so I'm gonna have to just squeeze his neck as hard as I can.
Dude, yeah, it reminded me of the John Machida, just like drop his dead body. Like it was some brutal stuff. Yeah,
and then Mackenzie Dern doing what we all know she is capable of doing, but getting it done in the top 5. against Nina Nunez. I can't say it was unexpected.
No, this is a weird situation where I'm all in on Mackenzie Dern, and I'm totally fine with her. She got a big jump in the rankings from this. She jumped from like number 13 to number 5 now, so big jump up the rankings, and I'm fine with all that. She is a legit contender. She's established it. It's all good. But the UFC has been they've had a bad habit lately of doing some weird things with matchmaking, where they get these people that are highly ranked in a division but have been out for whatever reason for maybe a year or 2 years. And then when that person comes back, they matchmake them hard because they're ranked so high, and it's difficult not to. But like these people, when you're like an elite guy and then you gone for 2 years or something, and then you come back, you typically get mulched by the person that's young and active, that's there actually doing work. And so it was not an uphill battle for Nina Ansaroff to be to be nice about it. I mean, she was coming off a loss to Tatiana Suarez, which Suarez has been gone so long now. She's been completely forgotten about, removed from the rankings. So yeah, Nina Nunez, uphill battle. She got murked. It is what it is.
She got leached.
Cool now. Yeah, see, this is why I'm actually cool when they announced that they were going to have, when Miesha Tate came back, they're going to have her fight an old woman that's in her retirement fight, because I'm like, that's great.
It's reasonable.
Like, that's what you should do when you haven't fought in the UFC in like 8 years. You should come back and fight somebody who's on their way out, because she was, in that interview she did with Ariel, she was like, I was asking for Yana Kunitskaya, who's ranked number 4. And I'm like, not yet. Let's not put you directly against the number 4 person in the division yet, please. Let's just do this Mario Renault thing and then get it out of there.
Yeah, Mario Renault. She's gonna wrestle hard. She's gonna kind of listen. That's Mario Renault is like a litmus test as far as like, should you even come back? Like
yes,
that.
exactly.
Like, if you lose to her, a woman who has not gotten a win since, I mean, she's lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
So if you lose that one, you probably should forget about Kunitskaya for a while. I wanted to we got to mention our man D-Rod getting it done against Mike Perry.
Yeah, so unfortunate, kind of a bummer of an end of the road here, I'll say, because the question coming out of this really for the UFC is, do we even give Mike Perry that last fight on his contract, or is this it right here and now? And I lean towards them just cutting him now, because he's probably at this point more hassle than he's worth. But you never know. Maybe they give him one more and then he goes. Either way, it is a weird, strange thing to see. Like his skills continue to deteriorate and get worse. A weird fighter who's gotten worse as he's been in the UFC, and his everything about what he did in MMA has basically come undone and come apart, to the point that now, like just a couple years ago, he would beat a guy like Daniel Rodriguez. He would probably knock him out cold.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at this, right? He fights. Actually, I want to see where that guy is. That's for later. He knocks out Hung Kyu Lim.
Yeah.
Who? Okay, he's more or less just retired. Okay, that's a shame. He was always fun to watch. Took out Hung Kyu Lim. Took out Danny Roberts, who now writes for. Danny Roberts is a writer now. He's an MMA journalist. Lost to Alan Jabant. Beat Jake Ellenberger. Beat Alex Reyes. Then lost 2 in a row. Split decision Felder. Submitted by Cerrone. Beat Cowboy Oliveira. Lost 2 in a row. Beat Mickey Gall, then lost 2 in a row. Yeah, man. I mean, you got to think, like, I think that while he is good and he's always been good, I mean, look at who he's beaten. It's no one
To
I
me,
would.
that win over Felder is probably the most impressive win on that entire career or that entire resume in the UFC. But he still had a reputation of putting on exciting brawl
Yeah,
fights,
yeah,
which he can't even do that anymore. And it's
no.
very clear like he had an actual team around him before that was training him and not just, his pregnant wife or whatever the hell's going on now. But
Well, I
yeah,
believe
it's
he's
sad.
at I believe he's at King's MMA now.
Yeah, he's settled now somewhere, but it's too little, too late. The damage has been done
Yeah,
at this point.
true. Well, well, I have to say, we got to give it up to our man D-Rod.
He did.
That guy's just fun to watch fight, and
That
he's on a
man,
good little tear of his own.
that man is out there at the BMF ranch doing mushrooms with Cowboy Cerrone
Bro,
and kicking stuff and getting good. And
dude,
he's
okay.
basically taken that mantle that Perry had of like a guy that he's not going to be an elite guy, but like he puts on fun, entertaining brawls.
Oh, I mean, like looking at his Tapology right now. So he lost his last bout to Nicholas Dalby,
Yeah.
right? Via decision that a lot of people feel like wasn't necessarily a good one. But his most recent loss, other than that one, you have to go all the way back to 2017. So Rodriguez is a pretty solid fighter, and he won 3, 6, 9 in a row before his unanimous decision loss to Dalby, and then he just beat Perry. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where they match him up next. Because what was that? That's a welterweight bout. He's not young. He's 34. So he's gotta put the pedal to the metal if he's looking to get something done here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the rest of I've lost my way. Oh God. Okay, there we go. So let's circle all the way back and get to the main event. And the only reason we haven't really spoken much about the main event is that I don't know what there is to say what we didn't say a month ago about Holland's last bout.
Yeah, it went exactly how we thought it was going to go. This was basically an IQ test. It was Marvin Vettori. You just watched 2 weeks ago a blueprint be laid out of how to beat this guy. Are you stupid enough to stand and strike with him, or are you smart enough to use the blue plan to beat him? So Marvin goes out there like an idiot in the first round and gets lit up on the feet and then goes, all right, you know what? I'm going to use that game plan now. The problem is he used the game plan to a T, to a boring T, to a not aggressive on the ground, kept working for this one-arm triangle that just wasn't happening, but just kept going to it over and over again. And just Kevin Holland's, it's been 2 weeks. His takedown defense was garbage 2 weeks ago, and it's still absolute garbage now. And yeah, so boring fight, whatever. It's literally the exact same thing that Derek Brunson just did 2 weeks ago. So I cannot put Marvin Vettori any higher than anything that Marvin Vettori would be deserving of right now. Derek Brunson is deserving of it first. So basically, a couple weeks ago, right? We're all like, there's this big middleweight tournament. There's going to be 3 victors out of these 6 top 10 middleweights fighting. That whole thing is just completely fallen apart. And now basically everyone the winners have eliminated themselves from a title shot with just poor, boring performances. And it basically, I think, comes down to this weekend. I think the winner this weekend, regardless, gets the title shot. Even if it's Kelvin Gastelum, I think he would get the title shot over Vettori.
You know what's crazy is I am almost more excited about a Kelvin Gastelum rematch than I am about an Adesanya one.
You mean Vettori?
No, I'm talking about the winner of ABC. I'm talking about the winner of
You're saying you'd rather see Adesanya Izzy 2 than Whitaker Izzy 2. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if Gastelum wins,
Yes.
I would rather see him like between the two dudes fighting Whitaker and Gastelum.
Yeah.
I would rather see Gastelum again against Izzy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
that's just how I feel. Although, I mean, he's not necessarily in the position to ask for that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Beating Whitaker would be pretty crazy for him in terms of riding the ship.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can't just forget that he lost 3 in a row before winning a pretty good decision over Ian Heinisch.
He's one that I think we can't definitively say yet, but we get the feeling that Izzy fight, the first one, changed him a little bit, and he hasn't really been able to get back the magic after that Izzy fight. But I can't put a stamp on it yet and say that he's lost a step yet. We'll see, because just 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, this fight between Whitaker and Gastelum was a title fight, and they coached an entire season of The Ultimate Fighter, and back then I had favored Gastelum to win. I don't think the fight is as competitive as it was back then, but still, very competitive, should still be competitive, theoretically. We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Your stance on Vettori, you can't really bump him up too much as far as I don't think his performance was energetic enough, electric enough to get the fans begging for a rematch with Adesanya. I think honestly, he's going to have to hang out and fight somebody else.
Yeah, he's gonna have to fight again.
Yeah, he's gonna have to fight somebody else. I would guess. I mean, hey, dude, just sit out, wait for Till to get better, and do that. I mean, I don't know how long a collarbone takes to heal, but
yeah,
who knows? I'm no scientist. I have no idea, but I don't know who else you would necessarily fix him up with.
Not a lot of options. It's really either Brunson or the giant one, Costa. But I was actually in favor of Costa versus Brunson. I wanted to do Costa versus Brunson, and then maybe Vettori versus the loser of Whitaker and Gastelum.
Yeah. They're not. I think that.
No, Cannonier. Eric Cannonier.
Yeah.
He's still ranked like number 2. That's the guy.
Oh,
you do Cannonier versus Vettori.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot,
missing
actually.
Somebody in there. Real quick, I was thinking about this. How crazy is it? So just these past 3 generations of middleweight, right? You had your starting off with the Anderson, like Anderson, Vitor, Okami, and then that middle generation of like Weidman, Rockhold, Jacare, and Yoel, and now this new generation of like Izzy, Whitaker, these guys. That middle generation washed out like so bad and so fast that when all those guys were washing out and these guys were coming up, there was no crossover. Like Adesanya and Whitaker, Adesanya especially is like beating all these guys already, right? Like all these 6 dudes we're talking about are all rematches. Izzy's fought them all already. Izzy never fought Weidman, Rockhold, Jacare, and then he got the Yoel fight right at the end because he picked it.
Yeah.
Robert Whitaker has never fought any of them, Jacare, but he didn't fight any of the other guys. It's so weird. Like, they hit a wall, and
Bisping too.
Yes, they hit a wall, and they all like dropped off in quality so fast, and like these new dudes just kind of like sprinted past them, and I think like it's just weird that there was no baton passing between that generation to this one. It was
you know what's weird is that for whatever reason, two of those names, Rockhold and Weidman, injury played such a role in both of them stepping away for a while.
Yeah.
That I just think that the opportunity was just never there. Weidman is still kind of around. Didn't he just get hurt again?
He actually fights next weekend.
Oh. No, what happened with that? He was booked to fight.
It was this fight, and it got
pushed back.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, Weidman's now at this point fighting for, like a 15 ranking, right? Luke Rockhold's just out in the ether somewhere. Jacare, it's so crazy. Jacare never even got to fight for a UFC title. He earned his title shot multiple times, never even got to fight for a title. And then somehow, I don't even understand how, gets knocked dead by Kevin Holland, a man who has no ground game apparently, but had enough to knock out Jacare. It's just blasphemous, honestly. I don't know. I don't understand this game.
So next week.
Yeah, next week on the UFC 261 pay-per-view, we will see Chris Weidman fight Uriah Hall.
I can't wait for that.
I
can't wait for that.
Like 12 versus 14 or something like that.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, all this.
We're going to have a big pay-per-view breakdown coming, which, quick little throw in there, right? As we mentioned, we're searching for them triple-digit views, son, and that as we threw it out to you guys, that UFC 260 reaction shows real close to them triple digits, y'all. We're in the 80s in the views. Tell a friend. If you haven't seen it yet, tell a friend to go give it a check out, because we're real close. Real close to the triple digits.
Very close. Yeah, I haven't checked that out in a little bit. Any new comments telling us that our hair is dumb, or?
I haven't checked yet, but if if you guys are inclined, go leave us a dirty comment. We appreciate the views and the interaction.
Heck yeah. Well, so before Saturday comes Friday, and Fridays mean Bellator on Showtime. And so we got treated this past Saturday or past Friday. Just did a whole thing about days of the week.
Yeah.
This past Friday, we were greeted with Bellator 256, Bader versus Machida 2. This was the first round in the Bellator light heavyweight Grand Prix. If you wanted to see a rematch of Bader and Machida, you got it, and then some, because typically Bellator does not do 5-round main events. They just, it's title fights or whatever. But because this is a part of one of their Grand Prix, every leg of the Grand Prix is a 5-round bout, which I like, because they make the weird decision to have the champion of whatever weight class defend throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
So everyone technically has to. Did you get a chance to watch the main event?
I did. I will say, from just an overarching perspective, I will admit, glad to have Bellator back. They're back right now with a little bit of consistency. We now have 3 Fridays in a row with Bellator cards. I currently have Showtime, which is nice. I'm able to pop in on my Friday nights and check out what Bellator's got to serve up. Now, unfortunately, in my first 2 consumptions of Bellator, I'm not going to say I've been disappointed, but I've gotten what I've always gotten from Bellator, which is old fading UFC stars that put on lackluster performances. Some Bellator homegrown guys that I may not know very well that may put on a good fight, but a lot of stuff that doesn't feel consequential, basically. And that's how I felt the last 2 Bellator cards. That one where the first one where they they got close to wrapping up the featherweight tournament, and then this previous one they started the light heavy one. It seemed to me like, in all honesty, when you look at the opening rounds of the bracket, right, doesn't Machida versus Bader jump off as the least interesting of all of them? So it seemed like get this one out of the way first, and then it is nice this weekend we get two more opening rounds of the tournament.
Oh, they're cranking them out.
Yes, I am happy about that. I am looking forward. I will watch again this Friday. And it's cool. Bellator's back. It's fine. I'm down with it. A little variety.
Yeah. I thought, we missed last week. So I'll just say a note. I thought Pitbull's performance over Sanchez was incredible. To beat a guy again and then do it in a much more dominant fashion in the first round. Pitbull, I don't think will ever fight in the UFC, and I think it really sucks because he's already 34. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's doing a Chandler. So, anyway, to bring it to this card, the first fight, Goiti Yamauchi. I always want to do that, and Dan Moret. That was fun. That was a good one. Moret won via split decision. I thought that was weird. But, it is what it is. It was a fun fight. My cat is like freaking out right now. And then Kat Zingano just crushed Olivia Can Parker. That's mean. But let's be honest. Olivia Parker is 4 and coming into this bout, she was 4-1 at 39 years old.
Yeah, she was also like a 400-pound woman that had lost like 300 pounds to start fighting.
So, I mean, like, props to her, but like,
it's awesome. But it's like, I'm just like, compare that with the quality of opponent that Kat Zingano was just fighting in the UFC. There's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. And so Zingano gets a first round armbar, and chances are she's going to fight the winner of Cyborg Leslie Smith 2. So Cyborg.
Yep.
And then Adam Borix took on Jeremy Kennedy. That was a really great fight. That was a really great fight. There's nothing, Borix is one of those guys. He splashed on the scene when he stopped. What's his name? He's that kid.
Pico.
Yes, he did a flying knee to Pico, stopped him, and then just kind of blew up. Yeah. And so Borix, obviously, super really solid record, 17-1. Representing Hungary. And then next up, Liz Carmouche. Stamped her ticket to more than likely a title shot in the 125-pound division against Juliana Velasquez. There you go. That's their champ's name. So, and I thought it was a Liz Carmouche fight, to be honest, for better or worse.
For boring worse.
Boring. Yeah. So that was Bellator 256. That was a really great card, and then we'll do a little stop. We're playing catch up here, folks. We got a little bit to talk about. We got one more little short stop before we get into speaking about the future. The former, well, I would still consider him the flyweight GOAT. The flyweight GOAT got stopped for the first time in ONE FC on TNT 1. Adriano Moraes stopped Demetrius Johnson via knees to the head of a grounded opponent. What did you think about that?
So we got the long awaited, much discussed debut of ONE Championship on TNT in the United States. It happens at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, and it goes, in my humble opinion, as bad as it possibly could go for their debuting show in the United States.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So real briefly, just that first show. So so it was coming off the heels of a wrestling event that was happening right beforehand, and this was like a wrestling event leading into like WrestleMania, right? So I watched like the last 5 minutes of this wrestling event. Just some of the strangest nonsense I've ever seen. I'm not a wrestling guy, and this was some weird stuff, and I was like, man, that was strange. And so then we roll it. It rolls straight into ONE Championship. And as soon as it starts up, Eddie Alvarez is walking out. And I'm like, oh, we're going. We're rolling, son. We're just going to get right into it. I'm like, all right, cool. So then you get what was, in my opinion, just this bullshit fucking thing with Eddie Alvarez where homie decides he's just going to tuck his head, eat shots to the back of the head, and then go, whoa, he punched my head. And then they're just like, fight's over. And I'm like, what is going on? Are you kidding me? So that was a total disaster. Then they throw back to this pitiful desk that has old Rich Franklin, and he's arguing with another person. They're disagreeing about the rules, and that was a whole mess. Then we fast forward a little bit. We get to the DJ thing. He gets knocked out with the very same knees that he's been discussing at length in all these goddamn interviews. I don't give a shit about DJ anymore. And so this leads to this problem, though, right, where we were just discussing. So Bellator's been very consistent, right? Bellator's cranking out these Friday shows, doing 3 in a row. Apparently, ONE is being consistent with this thing, too. Apparently, tonight, possibly at this very hour while we've been recording this show, they've done ONE on TNT 2. And you know what? I don't give a goddamn about it. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who's on it. And I don't give a shit about it. And I'll probably never watch another ONE event on TNT because I just don't care.
It's like, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why that I this seems like something I should love, but I just don't. I don't know why I'm so disinterested in ONE. I think I have TNT as well, but I just am not necessarily super interested. Now, like Risen, I'm going to watch the next 2 Risen events because they got some crazy shit going on. But I just, listen, man, I'm not a big fan of like interspersing different sports in a single event. I just am not. I don't want to see. If I wanted to watch Muay Thai, I would watch Muay Thai. And I don't watch Muay Thai because I want to watch MMA.
Yeah.
And so when half of the fights on your card are Muay Thai bouts, I'm good on it. And then also, you're doing your boy Rug wrong, burying him down to the very bottom of the card. Dude, Elmar Kane is a monster, and for whatever reason, they didn't put him on the main card. A giant man, Rug, didn't get to show out on TNT. He just gets a little highlight, and he should have been. He came from that sport in Africa where they cast your arm into a club.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he came from. And he blasted 0-0 Mike Schmidt into oblivion.
Yeah. Well, what do you
Patrick
expect?
Smith, sorry. Sorry, Patrick. Now he's
Sorry,
0
Pat.
now he's 0-1.
Dang.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, look at this. It's yeah, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I don't even know. So yeah.
There's also like this. There's just like this like a feeling of slime and sketchiness. There's
Feeling
just
of
constantly
slime.
like this weird grimy feeling around one that just like
Yeah.
shit is sketchy. Like why like just the fact alone that you're doing these weigh-ins behind closed doors is sketchy to me.
That weirds me out.
I'm like, why does that need to happen? It's the fact that you do it that way is problematic to me. They do a lot of things that I don't like. Not a fan of one and their product and what they're doing over there.
Okay, well, oh my god. Bro, there's more fights that were canceled off of this one on TNT 2 than were on the card.
Who actually
Okay.
fought?
Main event was Christian Lee versus Timofey
Oh, I like Tina Fey.
Nasty Yukin Shin.
Of course. Them.
Well, Christian Lee won in the first round. 1 minute 13 seconds into round one, counter hook to ground and pound. And then, dude, they can't get away from these DQs.
Oh God, another
Yoshiki
one.
Nakahara defeated S. Zoltesteg versus via disqualification, illegal kick.
Nice.
Yeah, Nakahara
Jesus Christ.
picking up a W via illegal kick. Yeah, well, is that still going on? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Man, real quick, I just feel like Eddie Alvarez did himself a huge disservice by signing with them. I mean, I hope he's getting paid a shitload of money, but
yeah, didn't they try and say he got like a 10-figure deal?
That's the other thing. They lie about all their numbers. All their numbers, they lie outrageously about them. And so I'm like, dude, if Eddie Alvarez is not getting like a fat paycheck, he got screwed real bad. He basically went off into oblivion to get KO'd by no-name people or get screwed by stupid circumstances.
Oh, I mean, I think that it was purely a money move. There's no way. Like, if he was really interested in, like,
but are they really
that's
paying
the
that
interesting.
money?
Well, that's the interesting thing about it. Like, dude, you've built an American fan base, or at the very least a Western one.
Mm-hmm.
You're really gonna like whoever his management was must have been like, bro, we got to take this. It's just too much money to turn down.
Yeah.
Because like you're now going to fight in relative obscurity.
Yeah.
You just went from like headlining UFC pay-per-views
against Conor McGregor.
Against Conor McGregor to now you are getting like 200,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you may as well have fucking went to PFL and fought for that $1 million.
I think more people would watch.
Absolutely. It's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, is a TNT, like someone, I don't know the last time you turned on TNT, but the last time I turned on TNT, I lived with my mom. So I don't know that anyone knows, like, oh, if I want to watch some MMA on a Wednesday night, the place I go is TNT.
No, of course not. You go to TNT for Star Wars reruns on the weekends.
Yeah, of course.
First of all, who is seeking out fresh live MMA on Wednesday nights? No one.
I don't know. Yeah, do you want to catch LFA on True TV on Tuesday evening?
MTV2.
MTV
Oh
Deportes.
my
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's all I really had to say. I mean, did you have anything else to add about One
Nope.
FC?
Nope, not at
Okay.
all. Past is done. We're over it. We're looking to the future now.
Now we're moving on to the future. Actually, I'm gonna. So, tell us your thoughts about. We'll cover the Bellator last, but let's take a look at this upcoming main event on Saturday. UFC Vegas 24, Whitaker Gastelum. We already dipped into it a little bit, but delve a little deeper. Tell the people what you think. I gotta let this cat out of this room. She's gonna
Yeah.
cause a
All right.
push
We're
and right.
delving deeper. So, I would say of the three middleweight fights that we had over the past month, basically, that I am absolutely the most excited for this one of the bunch. And even before, when it was supposed to be Whitaker versus Costa, that still was a great fight. Two highly ranked guys. I am equally as excited. No, honestly, I am more excited for this matchup because I think there's some strange things afoot in the middleweight rankings that have put a couple people very high at the top that I think are not deserving of their elite rankings, and chief among them would be Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, who is now like number 2 at middleweight, I do not think deserves to be in that position whatsoever. I think he's fairly one-dimensional and limited. And I would say that Kelvin Gastelum has a lot more tools and weapons and options to make it a much better fight against Robert Whitaker than a very one-dimensional and powerful Paulo Costa. So that's cool. Excited for the fight. Should be dope. Definitely determines your next number one contender. I would say regardless of outcome. It is strange to have Gastelum kind of in the little bit of a slump that he's in right now, that if he were to win against Whitaker, that's only a 2-fight winning streak, but a win over Whitaker, the former champion and the guy that's on the best run, that's currently ranked number 1, you can't beat it. You can't do anything better than that. So not to mention Gastelum has got in his back pocket that out of all these guys, he has had the most exciting and most entertaining fight with Israel. I don't think anyone would be complaining of them running that fight back. No guarantee that it would go the same way as it did the first time, but still, I'd say that it is a lock for your next contender to fight Israel Adesanya to come out of the main event this weekend. Do you agree, Sir Cobert?
The most likely result. Assuming it's not a total boring contest, which I don't predict it will be. Whitaker's wrestling is to the level that I don't think Gastelum is going to be able to really impose that.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if he could. So yeah, I think the most likely outcome is that we're going to get a really fun fight on Saturday, and yeah, we'll end up with the number one contender at middleweight.
Yep.
So
agreed.
There's some really wild stuff I think would have to happen. Some really big injuries coming out of the fight in order to have someone else step in to fight Adesanya next.
Yeah. Yep. No, there's just no options there.
And then taking a peek at the rest of the card, in the co-main event, we have Jakar Close taking on Jeremy Stephens in a lightweight bout. Jeremy Stephens, is this his first fight back at lightweight?
I'm not sure, honestly. I know he's on a pretty bad skid right now.
He has lost. He is winless in 5 straight bouts, including 1 no contest and 4 losses. His most recent loss was a stoppage from Calvin Cutter in May of last year.
Yeah, so he's been out for about a year now, and he's old.
Yeah. He got injured in November when he was booked to take on Arnold Allen. And so he is back for the first time, and he's 10 pounds up. He's back at lightweight for the first time since before that, he is. When did he last fight at lightweight?
I mean, way back like the RDA days.
Yeah. Yeah, he made his featherweight debut against everyone's favorite, Estevan Payan, in 2013.
Yeah. So basically a decade now at featherweight. It's a good move for him to go up to lightweight at this point in his career for sure. I definitely support the move up to lightweight. I expect a banger. This is really just like a bangers fight, just like two dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what else can you say about it, really? It's like, is Jeremy Stephens going to go on to do great things in the sport? No, he's not. He's over the hill, and
that's the thing. He already did them.
That's it. He's at the spot now where he had been used as a gatekeeper at featherweight, and he had basically failed to keep the gate for multiple times in a row. And so now he's like, all right, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go up to lightweight. Give me some cool fights. I can be like a Cerrone type of guy, right?
Mark Close ain't the guy to do that against, unfortunately.
Well, it's not like he's got better options at the deepest division in the sport.
Yeah, what year did Jeremy Stephens make his UFC debut?
08.
2007.
Yeah.
He lost to Dean Thomas via armbar in the second round at UFC 71, Liddell Jackson.
Which one did we saw him fight live? Which one was it? Was it Indianapolis?
UFC 119. He lost a split decision to Melvin Gillard.
Yep, that's the one.
Other than one win against Nick Walker at Midwest Cage Championship, he has fought exclusively for the UFC since 2007.
Dang.
Yeah. So going on. He's about to enter his 12th year? No, that's wrong.
Way more than that.
No.
2007?
2007, yeah. So
14 years.
Yeah, okay. 14 years. Man. And I think unfortunately for him, he might get bodied. And then Andrei Arlovsky steps in on short notice to take on Chase Sherman, which, there are more dangerous fights at heavyweight, to be honest. I mean, this is Chase Sherman's second go-round in the UFC. He's coming off a win against Ike Villanueva. And before that, he completed a couple of bouts in the bare knuckle fighting championship, going 1-1. He lost to the Mexicutioner, Brad.
It's usually backwards that you don't often see somebody go from bare knuckle to the UFC. That's a rare, trajectory. All I will do, I'm going to steal a quote about this fight from. It was one of the various MMA podcasts I watch. I believe it was someone in the co-main event. Was said of the Chase Sherman and Andrei Arlovsky fight. You could tell me that this fight has happened multiple times over the past like year, and I would believe you because it just sounds like it's just like what Arlovsky does. Like, oh, Arlovsky is fighting X guy, and X guy is like, oh, a heavyweight name I've heard before. And it happens every couple of months, like every 3 months. Andrei Arlovsky fights guy at heavyweight whose name I heard of once or twice. And now we're going to do it again.
Yeah, dude, he has so many fights. He has had multiple 4-fight losing skids.
The fact that he's even been able to stay in the UFC this long is honestly impressive. The fact that he can always, when he goes on those really bad runs, like pull just one win out, just enough to stick around for another 4 losses.
I mean, he's not even in the worst spot right now he's ever been in his career. I mean, he's 2-3.
Wins.
He's 2-1 in his last 3.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, he's coming off wins over Felipe Lins, Tanner Boser, and and he recently lost to Tom Aspinall. I mean, yeah, dude, you're right. You're right. I mean, it could be you just pick a heavyweight out of a hat, and he's probably fought him. The man's record is 30-20.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I know. And then Abdul Razak Al Hassan comes back after getting just slept hard.
He's changing weight classes too.
So this is his first fight back since. So he fought at a catchweight, and now he is dropped. Has he dropped, or is he going up?
I thought he went up, but maybe he dropped. I'm not sure.
What the F? So he fought welterweight, and then did he miss weight twice?
I don't remember exactly what happened.
He did. He missed weight twice in a row trying to hit. First time he missed by 4 pounds. The second time he missed by 2.5. And so I guess UFC were like, if you want to stay here, you go up. And he's taken on Jacob Malkoun, which is an odd signing for the UFC because he is only 4-1. He last lost to I know what the UFC wants in this one. Jacob Malkoun is coming off of a first-round knockout loss to Phil Hawes that came in 18 seconds. So I think I know what they're looking for Al Hassan to do in this one.
Yeah.
And then the last fight on the main card, Luis Pena versus Alex Munoz. Alex Munoz is coming off of he lost a unanimous decision to Nasrat Haqparast. That's one of the hardest last names to say. He is the guy who beat Nick Newell in the Contender Series.
Yeah.
So, and then was not given a contract because something he couldn't take out a guy with one arm.
Yep.
That's Dana White for you. Okay, well that should be a fun night of fights. We also got Tracy Cortez taking on Justine Kish. Panay makes her return to the octagon. Jessica Panay. There's some other dudes on here and women on here, but that's all I got to say about that. Now moving on to Bellator 257, Nemkov Davis 2. Have you looked at this card at all, and what do you think?
I definitely know if the top 2 fights top 3 fights actually. I don't know of any deeper on the card, but I know those top 3 fights. I'm all definitely excited for those top 2 light heavyweight fights, and then what's his name? Paul Daly. I'll still ride for a Paul Daly fight for
Mm-hmm.
another year or two before he hangs him up.
Yeah, the main card opener is between Veda Ortega and Desiree Yanez. Veda Ortega is known the world over as possibly the worst image on Tapology for her profile. It looks to be the worst left body hook of all time. Um, she is 5-4, taking on Desiree Yanez, who is 5-2. This is one of those building fights for Yanez. This is what it is. What it is. I think Bellator. Uh, that's one thing I'll say about Bellator is they're a little bit. You can see their matchmaking a little bit more. Um, like it's like when Pico was like on his comeback trail. Like he fought a few guys who, yeah, he's supposed to beat them, and this is another one for that. But yeah, the top three fights, Bellator being kind to us, Brad. They know they have 2 5-round fights topping their card.
Yep.
And 2 fights that have every possibility to go 5 rounds.
Yep.
So they're like, you know what? We're only putting 4 fights on this main card. So good deal. And yeah, like you said, Paul Daly, he's taken on Saba Hamasi. Saba Hamasi, dude, watch some of his tape. This should be really fun. And hopefully Paul Daly survives. Because we all know Paul Daly can put hands on fools. And I think he has been less able to take hands from fools as he's gotten older. And he's going to need that against Saba Hamasi, who is coming off of he's had 2 stoppages in his last 3 fights. He's won 4 in a row. He had a UFC stint. Saba Hamasi went 0-3 in the UFC, getting stopped in all 3 appearances. Bummer. He has won, like I said, he's won 4 in a row. The 2 most notable were his 2 most recent. He had a unanimous decision against Curtis Millender.
Mm-hmm.
And a stoppage win over Bobby Volker, if you remember that name from Strikeforce. Yeah. So that one should be really fun. Do you have any thoughts on the main event?
I hope it's not painfully boring. That is my thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a Phil Davis fight, which is like basically Phil Davis is the modern day John Fitch to me. Like Phil Davis fights are just brutally boring because Phil Davis is incredibly one-dimensional, except for like the 2 times he decided to knock guys out of nowhere. But that has been nowhere to be found recently.
Yeah, Phil Davis is really... He's a guy who just seemed to have never wanted to... Actually, you know what? I just watched his win over Lyoto Machida. Yeah. His most recent win. And it was pretty boring. It was a lot of leg kicks, I'll say that.
Man, what a surprise.
Yeah, a lot of leg kicks. Long lunging punches that had no hope of landing. Mm-hmm. And more leg kicks. So I'm not I'm more excited to watch Nemkov than I am to watch Davis. And then in the co-main event, Yagshamiradov against Corey Anderson should be pretty interesting. Corey Anderson's a guy who I constantly forget. Like, oh yeah, this guy's only 31.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, Corey Anderson has entered into the part of my brain that's like, yeah, that guy's 36 or 37, like almost on his way out. Really interesting that he made the decision to jump to Bellator when he did.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his fight against Yagshamiradov is interesting in that Yagshamiradov is he's an unknown commodity. He has made his name in ABC. I think that's what it's called. Which it's ACA. Sorry. ACA Absolute Championship Akhmat is what it's called. Yagshamiradov has not lost since 2015, and he has won, it's looking like 8 in a row. Yeah, eight in a row. He is smaller than traditional light heavyweights, but he's much faster and he hits really hard. So he has the ability and he has the power to clip Anderson. I think that we're gonna get a possible dark horse. Like if Yagshamiradov knocks out Corey Anderson, like he has the skill set to be able to do, I think in one event we will get the favorite to win, the dark horse.
Yeah. Yep.
So
agreed.
Bellator 257. Yeah, I think we're gonna round things down, but we've got a few odds and ends here at the end, some news stories, and we're gonna start off with the one that we specifically wanted to talk about the most. Is that Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega named coaches for The Ultimate Fighter? What's your reaction to that? The 29th season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Yes, so a few thoughts on this. One, obviously, it's terrible. Like they're just like a couple of the worst coaches you could have put on there. But when we rewind it, start to figure out they weren't the first choices. They wanted to do Usman versus Coby or Masvidal versus Coby. That didn't work. Then Usman versus Masvidal. That didn't work. So in the end, and then you had Volkanovski was about to fight Ortega. He pulls out. You get some details that Volkanovski's kind of got COVID, more like old wrestling boy, where he's throwing up blood and stuff, and it seems like he's got it pretty bad. He's going to be out for a little while. So then it's like, okay, you've got this title fight, which is going to be on ice till the fall. You've got a spot on Tough. Like, screw it, just throw him in there and just work with what you got. So that's fine. Problem is, Tough has been dormant now for like 4 years, and bringing it back in the ESPN era, you really need to do something big with it. And this is like totally not big, uneventful. These guys are not going to talk shit. They don't have any heat. They're both like have no personalities like at all. They're like a wet piece of wood. So just like terrible options all around. But to me, on top of all of this, the biggest injustice done here is to Max Holloway, because now you're looking at the featherweight belt being on ice for another year. And then even when they finally do fight in September, you're looking at Brian Ortega versus Volkanovski. So right now, if you're Max, you're like, okay, either I don't fight for the rest of the year and then I get my title shot fighting the winner early next year. B, I destroy some other poor featherweight. Or C, just say screw this whole division and move up to lightweight and make a real go of it at lightweight permanently right now. And I feel like this decision could force his hand in one of these, because I don't see him sitting out the whole rest of the year. And then also, like, if you book him, who's he fight? Zabit or Yair or something, because you would think you'd want to save those guys for a title fight. So I don't know. It's a mess. They've totally made a mess of this thing, and I fear that this may push Max out of the featherweight altogether.
Yeah. I think that was honestly when I was thinking about it when I first read the news that Volkanovski and Ortega were gonna host Tough. The first thing I thought was, well, Holloway is he's out of here. He's gonna go to 145 or to 155. Because I mean, like, what is the motivation for him to fight a guy like Zabit? Or I mean, honestly, a quick note on Yair. I just don't predict him being a major player at 145 pounds or like in any capacity ever again. Like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, he's just so inconsistent. He apparently is dealing with some like really, I don't think the UFC has disclosed what it is, but I know Dana White has doubled down a couple times that like we're not going to see Rodriguez for a while. So whatever he was dealing with, it's pretty serious, and it's not injury related.
It was that USADA suspension.
Yeah, there was that as well. There was some personal life stuff and the USADA suspension. So I just don't see. Yeah, well, and even when Rodriguez wasn't suspended, it was he had a string of injuries and all that stuff. So I wouldn't think that Holloway would necessarily be concerned with him either. It's not, and yeah, like, what is he going to stick around and fight Dan Ige?
Yeah, it's a mess.
So you have some good matchups at lightweight, and Holloway has expressed the fact that like it's not too much longer before he's just not going to be able to make the cut anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I just say, freaking screw it. Take some time off, build yourself up, and just forget about featherweight, man. You've done it. I don't think like I'm not chomping at the bit to see a Volkanovski rematch. And also at the end of the day, he's already lost twice to Volkanovski. So I would rather see Holloway just move up.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you're totally right. This announcement's going to put a whole log jam on the division for really no good reason. Mm-hmm. It's not going to give the UFC what they want as far as the show's performance. It's really, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is like, what's a convenient way for us to buy time for Volkanovski?
Yeah.
Which is not a great way, not a great thing to build your big comeback around, which is essentially just a big way to kill time. So, now moving on to some other news. One just real quick one. Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira booked for UFC 266. Of course, on the line is the UFC light heavyweight title. And this is justice served. That's what it is. This is not justice served. This is, occasionally in the UFC, we get sport behaving as sport. Mm-hmm. And Glover Teixeira getting a shot at the UFC title is just that.
Yeah, this is the rare event where the rightful number one contender fights the champion for the belt. We're also back to announcing fights 6 months in advance, as we now have to sell tickets once again. So we're back to the no more of this like slap shot here's your main event that's going to happen in 3 weeks kind of thing. I am excited for this fight to happen finally, the old man fights, but it is what it is. It's the real old man fights. They're the real champion and the real rightful number one contender. So pretty excited about that. At this point, light heavyweight has, I think, broken down exactly as the UFC wanted to. You have in 3 weeks the main event of Dominic Reyes versus Jiri. And it's basically the winner of that versus homeboy that just beat Santos for number one contender, Rakic. And you could even throw Rakic versus the winner of Jiri and Reyes on that same card, 266 in the fall and September. Set it up perfect.
Yeah. I'm actually excited for the fight. To be honest, I think it's a good fight. And it's one that I think Blachowicz should get it done. He should. But Glover has been he's been the underdog in the majority of his latest bouts, and he just wrestles his way to victory. He's become a different fighter in his old age. It's really something to see. So I'm excited for that one. And then the biggest bout announcement, they were on, then they were off, and then someone's money went missing that was supposed to go to a charity, and apparently it was due to a plan for the money. Anyway, Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 3 is official. It's happening in Vegas. Brad, now that it is official, did your excitement level go up? Did it stay the same, or did it, for some reason, go down?
I will admit that I think there was a general kind of malaise amongst everyone of like, okay, we're going to do this third fight. It's fine, but like, we don't really need it. We just saw them fight a couple months ago. Like, it's not like it's going to be that different. We just saw it. It just kind of is what it is. But I'll admit, though, when you throw the element of some missing $500,000 on top of it, that did pique my interests, and it did seem to, at least for a moment, legitimately fluster Conor and upset him that he was publicly aired out like that. And I did enjoy. I thought this was all handled very well by Dustin, because Dustin has known this information for a while now, and he sat on it. And he sat on it right until he signed his bout agreement and they were about to make it public that this fight is done. Boom. Here's when I drop this information that he's a scummy little bitch. And here's when I drum up all this beef and we start selling these pay-per-views. So that I thought was picture perfect, because you really had nothing going into this one. They've been playing nice guy this whole time. Now you have your thing to pit them against each other, so you can get them talking shit. You can have good press conferences where they're beefing. Now Conor's back is going to be back in front of a full audience, full crowd. You're going to have all kinds of Irish pulling up in Vegas. So I am more excited. I think that Conor gets an opportunity here, much like he did in the second Diaz fight, to erase a bad loss immediately. Basically, he's taking the approach of like, you all just saw me get knocked out real bad, but if I can go erase that real quick, you all forget that happened. And it will work if he can do it. But
it'll totally work.
If it doesn't work, though, he falls flat on his face twice in a row. And then he goes and fights Diaz for a third time.
Yeah. How long? Like, the fan base cycles so fast that I'm not even sure that, like, other than the hardcores or the people, I call them lifers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much longer the third Diaz fight. Like, I know it's a common phrase uttered by more people than just Dana White, but especially Dana White. There's always the third Diaz fight.
Yeah.
But, like, is there really always the third Diaz fight? Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's always the third Diaz fight.
I think there has been for the past like 5 years, but now that they haven't taken advantage of it, we're like rapidly approaching the end of the window when it's available. I mean,
we're like
if Nate goes out there and gets beat to shit by what's his name? If he gets beat to shit by Leon and then Connor gets knocked out again by Dustin, I mean, you can do it, but it's like taking a different
co-main event.
Like that was something that originally they were talking like we'll do it a third time, and that time it'll be for a belt. But if it's like actually it's going to be if you coming off you both getting beat up real bad.
Actually, it's like, going to be UFC on ABC 6 at noon.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Well, I'll say with that, that's been this episode of Sparring Partners. Yeah, Brad. Any last things to say to the people?
Feels good to be back. Another week in the books. We will return next week to recap these fights and look ahead to the grand pay-per-view return with a full house of sick Florida people. And we will discuss it next week. We hope you all tune back in. See y'all then.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, peace out, everybody. And I was right. This was the 24th show.
Hey, shout out 24.